start with a live look at Capitol Hill right now. The House Freedom Caucus is about to present their objections to the debt plan hashed out by Speaker Kevin McCarthy and President Joe Biden. President Biden is back at the White House. We will get to this in just a moment. President Biden is at the White House today after a brief trip to Iowa. Let's listen in here to the House Freedom Caucus.
Position of a unified Republican Party, not only just in the House, but in the House and the Senate, to hold the line for the bill that we passed. This deal that we've heard about totally fails to deliver on all of it. And if you want to get into the details, let's just start with the IRS. 87,000 new IRS agents, all the billions of dollars, $1.4 billion cut, leaving the balance to be used by the IRS immediately, starting at this moment, continuing on for the duration of this presidency. $4 trillion at least, an unlimited debt ceiling increase, unlimited debt ceiling, and oh, by the way, puts the incoming president, whether that's Joe Biden or whether that's a Republican, having to deal with it in a lame duck session. Absolutely and completely unacceptable. Trillions and trillions of dollars in debt for crumbs, for a pittance, every single thing. Take the student debt bailout, the student loan forgiveness, Biden forgives, you pay. None of that changes. Take the assault on American energy with the so-called Inflation Reduction Act. All of those subsidies killing American energy, continued unbridled. The permitting reform, all it does is seeks to increase and impose more of the Green New Deal faster on the American people. Faster. Now, at least $4 trillion in debt for nothing from the strongest position a Republican has had generally in certainly our elective lifetime here, and generally probably since we've been paying attention to politics. The Speaker himself has said on numerous occasions, the greatest threat to America is our debt, and now is the time to act. We had the time to act. And this deal fails completely. And that's why these members and others will be absolutely opposed to the deal, and we will do everything in our power to stop it and end it now. And with that, I introduce the gentleman, Mr. Roy.
Well, I thank Chairman Perry. I thank my friends here who have been for a long time making clear to the American people that it's time for things to change in Washington. Now, we've been saying that for a long time, and finally in January we did something about it. And we forced a change, and the American people responded. And for 5 months, that change was being seen because we were a unified Republican Party standing up for the things that we actually run on. Actually trying to change this place, actually trying to secure the border, actually saying that if you're going to raise the debt ceiling, maybe you should actually enact fiscal reforms to do so. We did that. We worked in good faith. Everybody's sitting around, working around the table to accomplish the objectives the American people sent here to do. Unfortunately, last week, there was a breach. There was a breach in the structure that we agreed to put in place to make sure that we are representing the American people through this heretofore United Republican Conference. The Republican Conference right now has been torn asunder, and we are working hard to try to put it back together again this weekend by making sure that this bill gets stopped. I want to be very clear. Not one Republican should vote for this deal.
Yes.
Not one. If you're out there watching this, every one of my colleagues, be very clear. Not one Republican should vote for this deal. It is a bad deal. No one sent us here to borrow an additional $4 trillion to get absolutely nothing in return. But at best, if I'm being really generous, a spending freeze for a couple of years. That's it. That's about what you get. And frankly, you're going to make things worse. And my Democratic colleagues know it. That's why they're supporting it. That's why they're going around gleeful. Look, there's a reason our Democrat colleagues support this. There's a reason that Mitt Romney supports this. There's a reason that Bill Kristol supports this. It's all the same stuff. There's a reason that our conservative allies are opposing it roundly. The Club for Growth scoring against it. The Heritage Foundation scoring against it. Freedom Works scoring against it. Ron DeSantis publicly opposed. President Trump said he thought we should default rather than pursue this kind of lunacy. At the end of the day, the only person that would default in this town is Joe Biden, unless Republicans default on the American dream by voting for this bad bill. That is why this group will oppose it. We will continue to fight it today, tomorrow, and no matter what happens, there's going to be a reckoning about what just occurred unless we stop this bill by tomorrow. I yield to my friend, Ms. Boebert.
All right, we were just listening to Congressman Chip Roy and Congressman Scott Perry as we see Lauren Boebert come to the podium. They do not like this debt deal worked out by House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and President Biden. And you heard Chip Roy say there will be a reckoning at some point if they don't stop this by tomorrow. There are only a few votes that Kevin McCarthy could lose in the House Republican Conference, and the question now remains, will he join with Democrats to get this bill passed?
You know, and then obviously, so they're coming out saying they will not support it, saying not one Republican should vote for it. And really the timing of this is so critical, folks, because here's what's going to happen today. This is noon, House Freedom Caucus doing their press conference, but the House Rules Committee will actually take up the bipartisan deal, this 99-page package at 3 p.m. today. They'll vote on whether or not to send it to the full House. So that vote will happen this afternoon, and then the full vote with the House is not expected until tomorrow. But again, this deal hammered out over the weekend, and yesterday the president actually snapped at reporters when he was asked about the deal he made with Speaker McCarthy. But again, this is a bipartisan deal. President saying he feels confident that the deal will pass both the House and the Senate.
Who got the better deal, Democrats or Republicans?
Bipartisan deal.
Will it get done by June 5th?
Oh, yes.
No question.
Well, you guys realize you're not in the real world. No question. There is no reason why it shouldn't get done by the 5th. I'm confident that we'll get a vote in both houses, and we'll see.
Got really close to those reporters in the rope line. Let's check in now with Chief White House Correspondent James Rosen. He joins us live now from the North Lawn. And James, President Biden and McCarthy, they're going to continue to try and rally other lawmakers. Does the president and the White House, are they really that confident that this is going to get done?
Well, John and Bianca, good afternoon. For his part, President Biden says he feels good about this compromise that he struck with House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, even as the president acknowledged in that same session to reporters his concern that were he to appear publicly at this time to be proclaiming victory in this episode, it would only deepen Republican opposition to the package. The president and First Lady Dr. Jill Biden arrived back here at the White House about 2 hours ago following a brief overnight stay in Wilmington, Delaware. The couple ignored shouted questions from reporters assembled on the South Lawn the previous day as they had departed for Wilmington. And the president was asked if he's confident that this deal to raise the debt ceiling and curb federal spending can indeed pass Congress and be signed into law before the U.S. defaults on its debt in the next week.
Look, you know I never say I'm confident what the Congress is going to do, but I feel very good about it. I've spoken to a number of the members. I spoke to McConnell. I spoke to a whole bunch of people, and it feels good. We'll see when the vote starts.
The deal that the president and Speaker McCarthy struck provides for a 2-year hike to the debt ceiling, thus deferring the next such reckoning until after the 2024 election. The measure also adds some work requirements for welfare recipients and exempts the Defense Department from new caps on federal spending.
One of the things that I hear some of you guys saying is, why doesn't Biden say what a good deal it is? Why would Biden be saying what a good deal is before the vote? You think that's going to help me get it passed? No.
So this marks an unusual moment in modern America's hyper-polarized politics, where we see a Democratic president and a Republican House Speaker effectively working together against the insurgent voices in their respective parties. But all while not wanting to make too big a show of doing so. Later today, we will have the press briefing with Karine Jean-Pierre, the White House press secretary, and opening up the briefing will be the director of the White House Office of Management and Budget, Shalonda Young, who served as one of the key negotiators for President Biden with the House Speaker's team of negotiators in crafting this package. John and Bianca.
All right, clearly orchestrated there to get the right Q&A done. James Rosen, thanks, James. Andy Biggs also will join us a little bit later to talk about the negotiations.
We saw him there in his Terminator sunglasses right behind Chip Roy and Scott Perry. So we'll talk